Alright, what is up, guys? It is What If Studier here, and this is What If Deku was the spirit of the scarecrow, part 3. Alright, so let's get right into it. Deku wakes up, not in the USJ anymore. No. He wakes up from a cold, hard bed, right? With test tubes, everything around him. He's being operated on. He's awake for this, however, in excruciating pain. I mean, he never felt pain before in such excruciating numbers, and they were operating on his mouth and his lungs where it had, blown up. And so after this operation, it hurt like fucking hell being awake for that shit. But when he wakes back up, he finds that his whole entire jaw has been replaced by a metal kind of rebreather, kind of like Darth Vader. And his lungs had been shaped up to the point where they look exactly how they did before, but robotronic that connected all the way through his stomach. Now he could feel it alterating, and he can even control it sometimes. Now when he wakes up from this and he feels this, he also senses a person in the room. He senses them and says, I know you're there. As kind of Toga comes out saying, very impressive. You killed one of the Nomu. And he says, what the fuck? Yeah, no, basically he's creeped out by her. She keeps on advancing towards the bed as he, kind of draws back, saying, just like, get away from me, you freak. But, and then suddenly, twice burst through the door saying, all right, report straight to the main labs. All right. And he, leaves. And Deku's like, fuck, what? So he just, leaves, tries to find his way around the whole place, which gets him beat up because he was, going all over the place. And then he starts his training, his lab training under the watchful eye of One for All, which he doesn't know he's there, but he can sense him. I mean, All for One. And so throughout this training, he actually finds the Koji. He finds the other kid. And Koji's super scared about this, and he kind of has to comfort Koji throughout the rest of this. And Koji actually has all the rats working with him, but that barely helps him through all of the practice stuff. But Koji becomes kind of, a little bit hardened from this skin joke. But yeah, no. So through all of this training, he's pushed to his limit because they go hard on him and stuff. So yeah, no, that happens. But him and Koji get through it together. And there's all these other recruits that are lining up perfectly. They're mind warped or something. As he figures all this out, he tries to figure out what their weaknesses are throughout all the rest of the training. As Koji's I don't think, aren't we going to be teaming up for the last part? He's I doubt it. It might be just a killing spree. Who knows, one of these kids could go insane at any time. And he's at least you're sane. He's what? Nothing at all. But yeah, no, so they go out throughout all their training, and at the final test, Deku's finally, a real test. As all the rest of the students are getting ready, all for One finally gets up on the podium. Deku has an assassination plan with Koji, but he's way too high up on this gigantic evil tower with Overload there and all the rest of the League of Villains just sitting around they were training him, but now they're up with him. And All for One says, your final test begins. Whoever wins will become my successor. Good luck. Begin. Also, Twice is in the middle explaining it as he splits up into 18 of him, explaining the rules to everybody about how you can kill, you have to kill, and whoever's left standing will become the thing. That is all there is rules. And also Koji will be given, actual dogs, and he rips people to shreds but he can't, he physically can't kill anybody. So Deku has to kind of, like, come in and do all the dirty work. But after he kind of does that, it's left with, like, 13 other people, and all the rest of them, Deku, like, barely knows their powers because they're so powerful. And then he comes up against one that has an ice and fire quirk. One that he's never seen before. As he's blasted with fire, he gets scolded on the right side of his face, angering him, forcing him to throw his scythe as hard as he can, cleaving into the kid's left leg. As he picks up his scythe, letting the blood drip everywhere, he blinds him with the blood into the kid's eyes. "I don't want to kill you," Deku said. "However, maybe." He injects some of his fear toxins into his blood, forcing him to run out of the arena. "You didn't kill him, but he's getting around our rules. Whatever, we'll kill him later." So basically, he runs off in a different direction. And they continue going on their killing spree. Until it comes down to the final dude, where they figured out that Koji and Deku are now working together. Now, Koji and Deku both work together to take down this last guy, whose limbs would turn into... Shut up, bitch. Now, freaking... this guy could turn his arms and legs into, like, gigantic swords, and, like, shoot them out. So, like, Deku got multiple swords to the chest, but he would always block them with some type of scythe. But he was running out of, mobile scythes that he could make out of, anything really. So he finally got some fear toxin on him by injecting him in the back while all these rats crowded his legs, and then he injected all 5 of his little injectors into his back, forcing him to start fearing. As all of his limbs start to turn into rust, he starts screaming and screaming until he can't stop. All the rats, all the spiders in the world. And then the dogs came out. Oh, that was a blood spray and a half, blinding Deku from the blood.
A couple reminders for you here at the end before we wrap up. So, this assignment that you're working on, the dramatic.
Standing proudly above the blood eviscerated body of that, sword dude. Taking out the last, sword that he had in his freaking chest from all those hits. He injected himself with some of his fear toxin. Oh, that's the good stuff. "I'm losing you, buddy. Come on. Stay here. Stay down to the ground, okay?" It's like, "I need it. It heals me." It's like, "Fine. I might need some of that." He's like, "No. It would hurt you too much." As they stand proudly above the body, like, Awful One's like, "No, there's one last one." But like, what? As a random dude kicks the shit out of freaking Koji, slashing him into the wall. And then Deku, like, jumps straight at him, trying to punch him, but misses. And then misses again, as this guy is really fast. As he looks up, he sees a guy with butterfly wings, and... what are those? Cicada legs? What are those? He's flying everywhere. Too fast for Deku to catch. Constantly jumping up in the air and trying to swipe at him, he gets kicked in the face again. Not the greatest legs for kicking, but ones that he could scurry around on very fast. As Deku takes up one of his scythes again from the body of the sword kid, he throws it as hard as he can at him. As he was being while Koji was trying to control him with his voice, he resists him, but then gets his leg sliced off by Deku. Kicking him down to the ground, Deku lands right next to him. Picking up his foot, he smashes it down, but the Cicada kid just straight up ran away fast enough that he couldn't even see him. He came all the way back around, knocking Deku back to the ground. As Deku gets back up, takes up his scythe and tries to throw the water. Tries to use the adrenaline splash. He misses. He's everywhere at once. How do I beat him? Getting constantly smashed to the ground by him. He keeps looking everywhere, but he can't find him. Koda! Kojo! Koda? Koja? Koja? I forgot his name already. Fuck. Whatever you are! Whatever you are! Kodo. Koda. You know what? Koda. Fine. Whatever. I'm fine with that. Koda's like, please stop! Please stop! As finally Deku can see him stop in the middle of a brush nearby. He chucks his scythe as hard as he can as he hears a gigantic squelch of blood that spurts into the air. Laughing maniacally, he looks up to All for One, saying, I've done it. My reward? You have one last one, child. Make sure you're done before you ever step to me again. A tentacle comes out of the ground, smashing him down, and then goes right back down. As he slices at its core, it seems to have just went away. What do you mean? One last one. It's just me and Kojo. Exactly, child. There are no teams. Did I say so? No. Koda. It's fine. No! I'm not going to do it. This is bullshit! As All for One's like, you won't do it? I'll do it myself! As gigantic, freaking tentacles come out of the ground, spurting in high above the sky, almost to the top. They all eject themselves straight at Koda. He blocks with his dogs, and Deku starts slicing them off from the core, but he can't last this long as he keeps getting bursted back by them. They all seem to be aiming at Koda. He can only hide for so long. Stop this! It's never going to end, child. Want to do it yourself? All for One has one of his tentacles slap him down into the dirt. Now crushed, Deku can barely feel any of his bones. A certain sweat that was coming off of the tentacle seems to seep into his pores instead. He gets back up. Without thinking about it, he starts dashing at Koda, taking out his scythe and trying to slice his head off. Closer and closer he gets, the more of a rush he feels. He has to stop himself now. But how? What is this? If he doesn't understand what's happening, he can't stop. He can't stop. Koda, save yourself! As he finally catches Koda by the neck with his left hand, bashing him up against the wall, taking his scythe to his neck. His augmented mask of the scarecrow now half completed. It can only see one half of his face, the half where his eye is not covered, looking with remorse as the other the other part of the mask bled into his skin. Koda, run! This isn't me! I can't! As he continues to choke him, he riles back the scythe. Deku says, enough! Do it! Koda says, now? But it's not complete. Do it, you idiot! Fine! As he flicks his finger, a gigantic explosion can be heard from the other side of the factory, causing a gigantic cave-in to this huge system of villains. All the villains start to scatter as this would create a huge smoke screen at the top of the surface, allowing a bunch of heroes to cloud into the facility. Some of the first ones, however, were Aizawa and Froppy, as she was being picked up because her parents couldn't. And now she's, invading a huge underground base. with her teacher. All I can imagine is how scared she is right now. Fucking hell. But yeah, no, they're going throughout this whole system as Aizawa didn't want her to come with, but she's, you know, like, she's very reluctant in trying to get Deku back as Aizawa turned to drunkenness as he felt bad for letting Deku be taken. You know, she didn't trust him very much. That's kind of bad, not trusting your teacher. But yeah, no, as they go throughout, Aizawa bashes down the wall next to Deku, saying to Deku, "Get out of here, now! What are you doing, Dakota?" Deku looks to Aizawa. "I can't control it." Picking up his scythe, he says, "Run! Run now!" Deku, stop! "I can't!" As he throws his scythe at Aizawa, Aizawa catches it, throwing it to the side, breaking it. He says, "What are you doing?" As Deku kicks him straight in the chest, bashing him into the wall and then punching him over and over and over again. He injects himself with more and more fear toxins, buffing himself even more. Koda trying to plead with Deku. He's too silent though, none of his screams will get to him. The bond we created together. Deku! He continues to throttle with Aizawa. Aizawa, of course, holding back because he's his student. He couldn't. Froppy jumps into combat, seeing this as a chance, kicking him in the stomach to the wall, bashing him to the wall and kicking him again until he grabs their foot, breaking it again because he knew the which leg was the most hurt from the fight before. As she screams out in pain, Aizawa feels this hinder on his soul again. "Deku, stop now! You're gonna make me kill you!" As he continues his barrage. Deku, now fighting on equal ground with Aizawa, and finally gets an injection into his leg with a crossbow with lactated with freaking fear juice on it into his leg. Aizawa stumbling to the ground. He looks up, seeing all of his friends and family dead. All of them laying on the floor staring at him. He must continue. He grits his teeth, punches the floor. Looks up to Deku as he walks slowly towards him, readying up an execution strike with the scythe. How did he get it back? All of my friends. My family. You. It's not you. This isn't you! As he kicks Deku back, taking up his scythe and then throwing it at him, but missing to the wall next to him. Deku's face, now scarred even more, to show that his mask was repairing all over his eye, covering his whole entire face. Now, there was no sense to getting to him, as he was fully controlled. All for One laughs from the stands, looking over the battlefield that he had left. All for One finally enters the scene, as Overlord also enters. They battle as Overlord is not able to defeat All for One. The battle is massive, destroying half of the place again. All for One, One for All, decides to retreat for now, but before he could retreat, he commands Deku to come through the portal as Kyogiri had opened it. Koja finally gets up, saying, "Deku! Deku!" It's not far enough to get to him, and Deku, with a cynical stare, walks back through the portal. Koda, looking to the ground and looking to Aizawa, his blood eviscerated body, just sitting there, staring at the portal. Everyone had failed. All for One comes down, seeing all of them down in the dumps, saying, "I am here. What is the problem?" Deku, he was taken again. It's nice to see that you're alright, Koja. It's nice to look at the good things, okay? But we need to get you to the hospital now. As he picks up all of them, taking them to the hospital. Frickin', while Aizawa is in the hospital, you know, All for One, One for All is sitting there saying, you could have taken him. You could have beaten him. Why didn't you? Aizawa. He's my student. He's one of my family. I couldn't have. Well, we lost one because of you. I hope you know it. Goodbye. I hope you repair well. As he leaves to see both Koja and frickin' Froppy with her broken leg again. Now her broken leg is basically, you know, being repaired and stuff. She now has to have augmentations to her leg to keep it going. Physical augmentations. So basically, after that happens, you know, they go back to the class, everything is hunky-dory. You know, everybody's like, yeah, but what about Deku? Like, Bakugo's like, yeah, what about Deku? They're like, oh, nothing. Freaking Froppy's just sitting there like, we lost him. He's a good guy. I know it. Koja is in the back there like, oh, you guys have no fucking idea. They're like, so how'd you escape? He's like, well, we made a bomb together over the recent years in those places. While his mask was being repaired, he knew if he had gone too far, the mask would take over. So as long as I repaired that, to prepare a way out, we made a bomb together. One that could blow that whole place in. You made a bomb? How big was it? Bakugo chimes in. This scaring Koda, you know. He's like, oh, stop being a pussy. Koda's like, I'm not. But I know he's out there. Somewhere. And that'll end it off for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get this to 20 likes? Yes, and I'll do the next one.